AITAH, for tearing my friend apart in front of people for saying that her boyfriend shouldn't cry? I was having a girls' night dinner with a few friends last week and the conversation came around to relationships. My friend has been dating this guy for 2 years and he is really sweet. They have been having issues for a little while. I love my friend, but this is her first serious relationship and she doesn't seem to understand that relationships can be complex and things aren't always going to be perfect. She often complains about the fact that he always wants to spend time with her, isn't manly enough, can be clingy and doesn't go out as much as she would like him to. Her points are fair. These things come down to personal preference. The issue is that she is always dragging him down in front of us. She doesn't ever seem to have anything nice to say about him and generally doesn't treat him that well. He is madly in love with her, and so he often doesn't stand up for himself. I feel bad for him, but I also try to empathize with my friend since she doesn't have much experience with dating. Last week, she was going on another rant about him, but this time it was completely ridiculous. He had just lost his job and went over to her house to spend some time with her. Halfway through their hangout, he started tearing up because he didn't know what he was going to do and still had student loans to pay off. She started saying how frustrating it was to deal with him that day and that he was too sensitive and men shouldn't cry like that. She went on to say how much of a turn-off it was and that she couldn't look at him the same anymore. I told her that she was being extremely unreasonable and that everyone should be allowed to express their emotions, especially after a bad day. I told her that it's women like her that have created the mental health epidemic in men and that if she wanted a real man, she could go find some asshole on Tinder instead. My other friends were dead silent. She was extremely frustrated with me. She was passive with me the whole night and didn't even hug me when we said bye. None of my friends have brought it up and she hasn't spoken to me since last week. AITAH for telling her off in front of our friends. Edit, I'm a lesbian, so I've had a lot of male friends growing up. I've seen firsthand that men can be equally as emotional as women. I've only been in relationships with women, so I've always treated my partner as an equal mentally, emotionally, and financially, and I never understood why hetero relationships should be any different. First comment, NTA. You're 100% right, and it was about damn time she heard how ridiculous she's been being and how messed up her views are. People like her are why we have such a nasty toxic masculinity problem in this world. Men should be able to be vulnerable, feel their emotions, and process them in a safe, loving, healthy environment. Can't look at her boyfriend the same way because he was upset and cried in front of her? She needs to sit all the way down with that. Seriously. Were I in your shoes all the times prior she was slamming on him for the audacity of wanting to be with her or being more of a homebody, I'd have seriously asked her straight up, do you even like this dude? Because it really doesn't sound like it. The kindest thing she could do would be to break up with him so he could find somebody that could actually care and appreciate him as a human being and doesn't want to change him so he's more manly, whatever TF that means. This has nothing to do with her inexperience with dating and everything to do with her god-awful personality. Honestly, I'd consider her silence a gift and phase her right out of my life. You're better off without a friend like her that is so superficial and toxic. Not sure how old we all are, but if I was basing it off of how your friend acts thinks, I'd guess she's between 13 and 16 because her attitude is 100% play school level kid AITAH. Second comment, NTA. Your friend is totally wrong for how she's treating her BF. She says she wants a real man, but she is also probably the same type of girl who complains when real men treat them bad. Lie to them, manipulate them, cheat on them, hit them, turn into absentee fathers, etc. etc. Perhaps next time you're faced with a situation like this, there is a way to get through to someone, saying the same thing in a less confrontational way. But I sure am glad someone told her like it is. It can be hard to keep our emotions contained when we see others mistreated. You may have been being an awe to her as far as your friendship is concerned, but it was certainly justified. Some friendships are based on brutal honesty. Others can't handle that kind of scrutiny. You stood up for what's right today, though. So no matter what happens with your friendship, please take solace in that. Third comment, you did the right thing, op. What you told your friend about people like her being the reason for the mental health epidemic is spot on. What does she want? A loser who is fine without a job? Who's content lounging around mooching off her, letting his student loans become delinquent? I would see his response as being very responsible, mature. It's important for him to have a stable job. The loss has him worried. I get disgusted at people like your friend, who expect people to never have worries, fear, or get upset. That is not reasonable or healthy. I hope you will distance yourself from this selfish woman, and I sure hope her boyfriend sees the big picture, realizes that she doesn't appreciate him, respect him, that he can do so much better. Up know that we are all proud of you and are glad you were brave enough to stand up for this underdog. Do the right thing. If more people had your guts, the world would be a better place. Fourth comment, NTA, but you also probably burnt that bridge, which is a good thing she is a toxic person. Especially because if the shoe was on the other foot and he found her crying to be off-putting and annoying, she would be up in arms about how he is not supportive of her. There is a quote I used to like, I don't really believe it is true, just went through a string of bad relationships at the time, but it is everyone loves to see a knight in a shining suit of armor astride on his horse. But very people will be around when that knight falls off his horse and needs a hand up. It's not the exact quote, but it is close enough, and women like that really support that quote. Expressing emotions, especially with your partner, is normal. It has always been normal. It is just this weird view we have of traditional manly men which people get into their heads that goes against it, which is more like the imagination of how people believe they should act, rather than how they actually do. People like that kind of need to be shut down for the world to become a better place where those prejudices are not around. Fifth comment, NTA. Yeah, she's a cunt. Constantly walking all over him and whining about him. She will either look back on the day she lost him, or she will always be a bitch and wonder where all the goon men are. I feel sorry for the guy. If and when she breaks up with him, I hope the gentle soul that he is isn't too hardened and cynical from it all. He will need friends to keep him the man he is and not the one most of us turn into. She doesn't know how emotional men can be and is juvenile that a man crying is somehow a huge revelation. Some of my lowest moments in life are after I lost my job. It's not always about the money, the uncertainty, the feeling of being defeated, useless, worthless, and unbelonging. As you get older, you just figure out how to go about getting a new job. The woman right now will be his sun and stars, his shining light in an ocean of darkness, his drive to get up out of bed and try again. And she's just a shadow shite bag.